Clifton House. Clifton House, originally the Poor House, is a splendid 18th century building with a stone-flagged entrance hall and an elegant spire topped with a weather vane. Settled in this peaceful location, hidden away from the hustle and bustle of city life, it is the oldest building in Belfast that retains its original appearance. The Belfast Charitable Society can trace its origins back to 1752 and a meeting of the town's leading citizens in a tavern called the Georgian. Their aim was to raise funds to build a poorhouse and hospital that would serve the town. But raising funds and finding a suitable site proved difficult, and almost 20 years passed before the foundation stone was laid. 3 years later, in 1774, Clifton House opened for business. The society had engaged two eminent London architects to produce designs, but eventually the plans of a board member, Robert Joy, were selected, and the work of a complete amateur determined the style and appearance of Clifton House, today one of the finest examples of Georgian architecture in Belfast. An Act of Parliament formally incorporated the society in 1774, and immediately the first residents began to arrive. Accommodation for both adults and children was clean and airy, and the meals provided were basic: broth and bread and cheese with milk, and rice and milk were standard fare. Having supplied some of Belfast's water needs from their own spring, the society was granted the rights by Lord Donegal in 1795 to administer Belfast's first proper supply of water, a responsibility they maintained until 1840, when the Water Commissioners took over. They also exercised authority over town planning, policing and firefighting. Conditions for the residents deteriorated as hundreds of people crowded in, reaching 480 in 1839. Delinquents and vagrants were confined in a specially prepared black hole, while mentally ill people were confined in the steeple or in the lower rooms, chained if they were violent. Many of those associated with the Belfast Charitable Society were Presbyterian radicals, and they included Robert Joy, who designed the poorhouse. He was the co-owner of the Belfast Newsletter, the longest continuously published newspaper in the English-speaking world, which had been founded by his father in 1737 and is still printed today. He also introduced cotton manufacture into Ulster, the first being woven on looms in the poorhouse. In 1782, another Presbyterian radical, Dr. William Drennan, introduced smallpox inoculations for the residents of the poorhouse, and indeed the general public of Belfast. This was some years before Edward Jenner published his famous paper on the subject. Drennan was the originator of the Society of United Irishmen, but he withdrew from it some years before the 1798 rebellion. A prominent figure associated with Clifton House in Victorian times is Mary Ann McCracken, a radical philanthropist and pioneer of feminism, who witnessed the execution of her brother Henry Joy McCracken in Belfast in 1798. He was the commander of the United Irishmen at the Battle of Antrim. Another prominent figure connected with Clifton House is Oluda Equiano, the freed Negro slave who visited Belfast in 1791 and spoke at an anti-slavery meeting here. Clifton House was recently refurbished and now incorporates an interpretative centre, recording the history of Belfast's oldest charitable foundation, which still serves the people of Belfast.